I'm just, okay, I really agree with the president. I think that most Americans just do not care about this. This has been an obsession of elites on the right and now elites on the left. Elites on the right were obsessed with it when they thought they could use it to hurt leftists, and now the left is obsessed with it because they think they can use it to hurt the right.
Elites are the ones who are obsessed with the Epstein files? Aren't the elites the ones raping the kids? Batya, you know what you're doing. We all know what you're doing. You're not a dumb girl. So don't present yourself as one. But anyway, Batya Ungar-Sargon has declared that ordinary Americans don't care about the Epstein files, meaning that Americans aren't worried at all about the fact that society's elite, including those with political power, are either pedophiles or have provided cover for pedophiles for years. And she's wrong about that. In case she was acting in good faith, which I am very suspicious of, an October 2025 PBS NPR Marist poll found that 75% of Americans want the full file release immediately. And we still haven't gotten that, by the way. There's still 3 million files that the DOJ under the Trump administration is refusing to release. And of the files that have been released, as we all know, because we've been pouring through them, they're heavily redacted. And while they failed to redact the names of the Epstein survivors, which I think would have been the priority, they redacted the names of the predators in the files. Interesting. Anyway, so let's talk a little more about what's going on here, because she had more to say about what we have discovered or haven't discovered in the Epstein files. Let's take a look.
So far, there has been no evidence of that. I'm looking through all of the documents, and so far there is still no evidence. I'm open to it. If you listen to me, I just feel like it's like the obsession. I mean, bringing the Clintons in, it's ridiculous. Right.
I don't think bringing the Clintons in to testify is ridiculous at all, because clearly Bill Clinton's name shows up quite a bit in the Epstein files, and asking questions is the right thing to do when we're talking about a long-running pedophile ring that led to Epstein securing a sweetheart deal where he gets to leave the prison during the day. I mean, obviously this is a deep issue that has led to quite a bit of distrust among Americans when it comes to our own institutions. And you can't have a country function appropriately when its people don't trust its leaders. And that's where we're at right now. But there's no evidence of criminality from what we've seen. First of all, last Friday, Trump's DOJ released around 3 million documents. We're still pouring through them. And every day there are more and more findings that cause so much despair, honestly, for me, because it's like, oh my God, like the whole system needs to be burnt down and rebuilt again. Okay, like I don't think that reform is gonna help. Like our system is so deeply corrupt and broken. But she's like, no, I mean, we haven't, no evidence of any criminality. Okay, then I'll give you some examples. These are some of the more recent revelations that we haven't talked about on the show yet. But you know, I will remind you, one of the things we talked about earlier this week was the diary of the 16-year-old Epstein survivor. And so she is writing down what is happening to her in real time. And she said that she was made to be an incubator for Epstein, meaning she kept getting pregnant in some cases, forced to give birth, and they would take the baby away. And she would write about the pain she felt as they would take the baby away from her. And then she would write in a very detailed way about the abortions she was forced to have. No evidence of criminality. Now, she could be lying in her diary. You could make that point. But to say that it was just Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that were preying on people, no one else. There's no evidence. There's no indication. There's no probable cause that anyone else was involved. That 16-year-old, by the way, mentioned Leon Black, financier, as someone who allegedly assaulted her, raped her. But no evidence, according to Batya Ungar-Sargon. All right, then there's this revelation. Annabelle, a British woman who, like Ghislaine Maxwell appeared to procure the right type of girls for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, look, this in and of itself is not proof of wrongdoing. Like, you're not going to get a conviction based on this email alone. But there's so many messages like this that lead to questions, right? So I'm going to read it to you. Hi, Jeffrey. So I am putting a little group of girls together. Hopefully one of them will have the right qualities you desire. Wish I was 20 years younger and could speak French. I have to say that a few of my girls who would be perfect for the job, but are unfortunately past their sell-by date, would have dropped their husband and almost children to do the job when I asked them. Okay, so you get the point. So the real question here is, okay, is this a woman who was supplying Epstein and the rest of these predators with underage girls? I don't know. But rational people, people who care about justice, people who want justice for the survivors would read an email exchange like that. And they would want to know, was that appropriately investigated? Who was this woman? More importantly, why was this woman's name redacted? Why was her name redacted, but the names of the survivors weren't redacted? There's more. By the way, that email was sent by a British socialite. Okay, so in another email exchange between Epstein and hedge fund executive Tancredi Marchiolo, he sounds Italian, which pains me, but nonetheless, Epstein says this: "What do you want me to do with your friend?" This is an email from September 8th, 2011. Tancredi responds, "Hit on her." Okay, to which Epstein responds, "Do you want me to try to do her or just torture her?" Torture comes up a lot in Epstein's emails, by the way. Someone had apparently sent him a torture video, and he responded by saying, "Loved the torture video." No evidence of criminality. Anyway, someone who is redacted in the files sent Epstein an email in March of 2011 to say this: "Your littlest girl was a little naughty."
Don't forget, Noble Mobile is saving you a ton of money. So a lot of people are signing up now and beginning to realize, what the hell, why am I paying so much to Verizon and AT&T? So your bill's only $50 a month, but it can actually be less because they give you money back if you don't use your data. So if you're paying more than $50, there's no reason to not switch. It's crazy not to switch because same phone, same number, same contacts, literally nothing changes. TYT.com/switch, TYT.com/switch. All right, we'll be right back.
But according to Batya Ungar-Sargon, nothing to be concerned about in the latest tranche of emails and documents that have been released. By the way, I like focusing on the emails because the documents are a mix of FBI documents in which they're fielding calls from people making allegations. And really, you have no way, we don't have the ability to prove that what's being alleged actually happened. I read the FBI documents, don't get me wrong, it's not like I dismiss them. But I like the emails a lot more because these are actual exchanges. You're reading what Epstein himself is saying. You're reading what Epstein's co-conspirators are saying in these emails, right? And so no one forced Epstein to say these disgusting things. And no one forced the various people he was communicating with, many of whom have been redacted, to say the hideous things that they say in these emails. Let's go to some more. All right, another redacted person wrote to Epstein on February 2nd of 2015. Let's take a quick look at this. All right, so hate letters pouring in off the Reuters piece. So Reuters had written about Epstein and I'm guessing others associated with him. One of which I answered, as you saw, but in a day or two, The Guardian will come out with a lengthier piece in which they tried to trap me and succeeded in good part because it was Sunday and I was already enjoying myself. Now, this is the part that you should be concerned about. We don't know who this person is. Their name is redacted, their email is redacted. But here's what they wrote to Epstein. The key are the 14 to 15-year-old girls. I am a sexual pervert because I say they are now of reproductive age? Yes. Why are you even thinking about their reproductive age? Yeah. How about you don't think about that when it comes to 14 and 15-year-olds, but no evidence of potential criminality here, none. Nothing to be concerned about, according to Batya Ungar-Sargon. She really did better when she did what every other Israel defender / Zionist does. They just stayed quiet. They pretended like the drop didn't happen, that we didn't see a new tranche of Epstein documents. She did better under those conditions, right? That was a better strategy. But coming out and denying what we've all been reading for several days now it's a choice. It's crazy work. Now, I should note that Dershowitz infamously had penned an op-ed calling for the age of consent to be lower to 15. So while we don't know the identity of the person who sent that email, it's very clear that Epstein had friends who believed that the age of consent, 18, was it's too old. It's too old. Anyway, Epstein wrote a message to Les Wexner, right? The head honcho over at the brand that includes Victoria's Secret, right? So here's what he wrote. Les, I'm truly sorry to hear that you have been the target of an extortion attempt by the same girl that has tried to extort Ehud Barak, former prime minister of Israel, Alan Dershowitz, and Prince Andrew. I guess that she is either using bottom feeder or she is being used by them. But he continues, there's more. I have never once, not once, done anything but protect your interests. I owe a great debt to you as, frankly, you owe to me. I was not surprised by your reticence to sit with me when my bad judgment with women became a cause célèbre. As I'm sure you recall, you didn't sit with your mother or sister or Sharon when a conflict arose, as I did it for you. You didn't sit with Jack Kessler, Stanley, or Stanley's son. I did it for you. I never asked to see you. I never sent you a request. Abigail is Les Wexner's wife. Abigail and I sat, she asked many questions. She made many unfair, aggressive, and false accusations, none of which could have been fully answered without violating a confidence with you, many of which I did not answer, some that I did. You and I had gang stuff for over 15 years, a great deal of it that she was aware of. Now, he continued to write, quote, I had no intention of divulging any confidence of ours, no matter what accusations she made. Sounds like Les Wexner's wife found out about some of the partying that her husband was doing with Epstein, didn't like it, and had a bit of a heart-to-heart, tough conversation with Epstein about it. And here you have Epstein saying, like, don't worry, I didn't tell her anything, but we've done a lot of gang stuff and we never had any problems before. Okay, cool. No evidence of potential criminality here, Batya? None? You don't wonder about Les Wexner potentially, you know what I'm gonna ask you, violating minors? Look, I get that people who love Israel are going to pretend like what's happening right now isn't happening because they don't want to accept the fact that a disgusting predator, a pedophile like Jeffrey Epstein, was working for foreign intelligence services, especially Mossad, and that this was all a blackmail operation. I totally get that that's gonna make you really uneasy because you don't want to believe that your precious country, the country you care about so much, would deploy such a tactic in order to have power over US foreign policy. I just think you live a better life when you acknowledge reality, understand the difference between right and wrong, and don't provide cover for some of the most evil crap I've ever seen in my life. But here we are. In December of 2010, high-powered Hollywood publicist Peggy Siegel, who dated Epstein at one time, messages him to ask, on Diller, do I ask Diane von Furstenberg, that's who she's referring to, too? I know her very well. Want him or both of them? And Jeffrey Epstein responds, him preferably. He has been to the island many times. Now, who's Diller? That's Diane von Furstenberg's husband. And his name is Barry Diller specifically. And so he recently revealed in his memoir that, he came out as gay, right? And so they haven't separated or divorced. She accepts it, but they're still together. That doesn't really matter to me. What matters is you've been to Epstein's island. What did he say? Many times? Okay. What were you up to at the island? Has he been questioned about this? Diller has been in the news, was in the news in early 2026 for expressing interest in purchasing CNN from Warner Brothers Discovery, by the way, which I thought was interesting. But anyway, Peggy responds to that and says, thanks for the update, going to Diller alone. And then mentions other people that she invited who agreed to go to the island party, including George Stephanopoulos and Ollie Wentworth. That's a typo. Wentworth is Allie's name. Philip Roth, I've never met. Again, can call his editor or agent, want me to. So a lot of powerful, influential people, not just in the world of politics, but obviously also in media, were invited to Epstein's parties. We don't know what they were up to at these parties. I don't think it obviously means automatically that if George Stephanopoulos goes to an Epstein party, then he's doing something wrong. I mean, I wouldn't go to those parties, but maybe he got invited, didn't know what it was about, didn't do anything wrong. Who knows? But the point that I'm trying to make is there are a lot of names of powerful people included in what we have seen from these files. And more importantly, some of these email exchanges specifically communicate things that in the very least provide the probable cause for an investigation and potentially prosecution. I'm gonna read one more from Peggy Siegel. I literally can't believe she wrote this, but in a December 2009 email, she tells Epstein that she's gonna travel to Nairobi. And she asks Epstein, can I bring a little baby back for you or two? Boys or girls, so Madonna. Now look, she might be referring to rich and powerful people in the US adopting kids, from foreign countries. Or she could be referring to something else. I don't know. But I do know she's racist as hell. How do I know that? Well, on Christmas Day, 2010, she wrote the following email to Epstein. Now, this isn't criminal. You can be a racist if you want to be a racist. You're not going to go to prison for that. I'm just giving you a sense of the type of people Epstein was surrounding himself with. Now, she said something along the lines of, there are too many blacks at the Isle de France. There are no black locals, just black rock and roll New Yorkers as guests. It's very weird. This island has no history of plantations and no ghettos, just big fat black people on the beach. Yeah, classy, real classy. In another email exchange, she asked Epstein whether an event would be 100%, I'm quoting verbatim right now, quote, 100% Jew night, to which Epstein replied, quote, no, Goyim in abundance, JP Morgan execs, brilliant wasps. Great. And then finally, I'm sure Batya will be very pleased to learn that in Trump's first term, we were all led to believe that he was no longer communicating with Epstein. They had a big falling out. Well, one of the documents dating back to December 25th, again, Christmas Day, 2018, indicates that he had emailed Larry Summers saying that, asking him if he's gonna visit Mar-a-Lago. Epstein responds by saying he's being asked for 3 names to replace Steve Mnuchin. Interesting. Why would the first Trump administration ask Jeffrey Epstein for potential candidates to replace, Steve Mnuchin if Trump and this guy weren't talking anymore? I don't know, just a lot of things have been uncovered, Batya. It's just you either want to bury your head in the sand or you've been reading everything we've been reading and you just don't want to admit what's going on here. But it's not a good look. And quite frankly, I'm pretty sick of people in media in particular taking what journalism is supposed to be and perverting it into a pedophile protection racket. You could be supportive of Israel. I disagree with you fully on that, but you can be supportive of Israel while still simultaneously calling out the bad behavior, including this.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.